Welcome to the Esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative by World Development Corporation. I am Falakzeed Khan, anchor at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry titans to share their experiences, thoughts, ideas, and best practices in order to inspire one another and future leaders. In a nutshell, we attempt to encapsulate the multi-decadal learnings acquired by these industry leaders. We also hope that by conducting these FaceTime with Leaders interviews, we can bring together a global community of eminent personalities. By bringing together such visionaries on one platform, we hope to play a part in inspiring the lives of other leaders. Great learnings from great leaders undoubtedly assist everyone by identifying, nurturing, and using the trade secrets that are proven success formulas for many. And this is what we aim for with these sessions by making them a gathering of industry stalwarts and a knowledge-sharing community. We have one such industry magnate on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Mr. Atindriya Bose. Hello, welcome, Mr. Bose. We are glad to have you here today with us on FaceTime with Leaders.
Thank you. Hi. Hi there.
So let me give you a quick brief about Mr. Bose. He is a business executive with a career spanning over 2.5 decades and leadership experience across diverse consumer industries, holding senior executive and business director roles. Known for his entrepreneurial spirit and exceptional P&L management skills, his career spans various domains including e-commerce, digital media, gaming, consumer electronics, agriculture technology, and alcoholic beverages. His strategic prowess in brand, product, and market strategy planning, coupled with his collaborative organizational management style, has consistently driven businesses towards long-term vision and profitability. Since 2019, he has established Kurate Digital Consulting LLP, a boutique consulting company focused on digital transformation and consumer experience, where he provides strategic guidance and technology deployment in areas such as e-commerce, games, data analytics, and more. So, Mr. Bose, could you let our viewers know in brief about your career journey?
About my career journey, this is perhaps as diverse as it can get. But if I have to put a signature to it, there are two things that sets me apart. It has always been consumer-focused industries and services. And I, along with many others, I am perhaps one who has traversed the whole digital journey of India with services, business creation in multiple industry in that. These are the two things that I am very proud of. My understanding capability of consumers and my capability of digital technology and how that translates into services for end consumers. So based on that, if you look at the type of companies I have worked with, I start after doing my engineering and MBA from IIM Ahmedabad, I started my journey with Philips in consumer electronic to become the product manager of their color television range, moved into Diageo Limited in their beverage alcohol as the category head for their white spirits division, the lead brand being Smirnoff. This has been my physical world business thing. When I realized that there is a new world that is being created and jumped into that, which is the digital world of India. Started off with the Rediff mandated to create their subscription businesses for India and then moved on to their e-commerce business and laid these two segments for almost a period of 5.5 years. That brought me face to face with a very interesting opportunity of creating gaming or console gaming as a segment in India and therefore established PlayStation for Sony. I worked there as a country manager for about 8 years. The biggest pride being that I moved the segment of gaming from perhaps a waste of time to a very interesting pastime for the Indian kids. Post that, I moved on to Mahindra in establishing a agri-tech business. You can call it as a Uberization of their farm services segment with like tractors and their implements. Having done that for a certain period of time and having traversed a 25 years of journey, I realized that there is something more exciting, more diverse that can be done, which is where I started off my consulting, seeing that there is a huge world of digital transformation that is needed and digital technology that are needed by the funded startups or the early stage organization, because that is where my competence lies. And that's what I had been doing with a group of consultants here or group of friends here in creating this Kurate Digital Consulting part in multi-industry form, focusing mostly on the D2C segment, also on the media segment in terms of creating their gaming channel or gamification of the creator communities.
That's really very interesting and wonderful to know indeed. So moving ahead, I want to know, like, since you have handled several leadership roles, what according to you accounts for true leadership skills?
True leadership skill, first thing that it needs to start off with two things. One is consumers, and the second thing is employees or the people you work with. You have to have deep understanding about the motivation of both. One without the other doesn't work. And if you can create an environment where everyone is motivated in serving or providing that service for the consumer motivation, you get a winner in hand. The part two of it is you create an organization of leaders. You don't create an organization of employees. I hold that very importantly, because I have always been working in large organization, but with a certain almost like an entrepreneur, establishing new businesses in large organizations. In that, I think most important part is understanding what the consumer wants. You don't develop technology, you don't develop product, you develop solutions for consumers. And once you are confident about it, you work towards creating a business by doing the correct go-to-market strategy and do it in the most cost-optimized way so that you can drive a sustainable profitability. And finally, the part that I hold very important is while you may be in the early stage or the growth stage, you also have to have a vision towards the type of system that will hold the organization in place once you are into the rapid growth phase or you are riding the horse into the market. And I keep that very important. That's an important investment that needs to be done at that stage onwards.
So going ahead, like, what are your inspirations and motivations in your professional life?
In terms of the profession and all, I look at myself as someone who is functionally adept in terms of consumer understanding, marketing, the channel strategy in a digital world. I love new technologies and I love usage of new technologies in creating solutions for the consumers. That's my biggest motivation. Part two is like I don't hold myself restricted to one industry, or I take my functional competences into multiple industry, and that's how I keep on challenging myself, and that's what keeps me motivated.
That's really great to know indeed. So when we talk about corporate governance, what has inspired you to upskill yourself with expertise in corporate governance?
Okay, this part is pretty interesting. If you look at my career journey, I had been working in large organization, whether it is a multinational, whether it is an Indian multinational, Indian entrepreneurial organization, large-scale Indian transnational organizations. So whether it is Philips, Diageo, Rediff, Sony, and Mahindra. And I have actually experienced diverse ways of cultures and how the culture influences, how the systems influences corporate successes. And having worked in a entrepreneurial way or an entrepreneurial way within a support of a large organization, I also realized that there is a subtle balance between governance and that urge to grow. And there are diverse way of maintaining that governance, maintaining that the whole organization is working with the governance, at the same time not restricting it. Having seen it in multiple companies, multiple large companies, multiple environment and all, I always felt that, okay, there is something called a business excellence, but the business excellence or just a focus on profitability and a business growth sometimes can even inadvertently make you take steps that may be counterproductive. It may not be a fraud or anything, but it may take you astray from the normal course of action, into the gray area of legality, or into something that you execute now, which may not be good enough for your long-term growth. This made me very interested in how corporate governance actually holds it in place. The risk management, the enterprise risk management, how the organization is structured. How do you design the structure? Is it just the work of the HR or part of the organization, or everyone plays a role? And I have seen that like every leader has to play a role in these things. And leader is the one who has to drive this. So I have done it, but I have never been formally trained into corporate governance. So this gave me a very interesting opportunity with WDC to get into corporate governance and understand what it is. It is not just common sense. There are structured codification of governance that has happened. And I think that's a huge thing that has happened in India. And that's a huge knowledge enhancement that has happened. I have always been working in organizations and reporting directly into the board. So I have a substantial experience about how boards operate. But most probably, I never realized there's a huge codification of the board operation that is also there. Now, with this knowledge, I think I find myself like, as I guide people, whether he is from a startup, whether he is from a growth industry, or he is from an established organization, I can do it much better with my experience in technology and consumer products, as well as this newfound knowledge and understanding, or strengthening my knowledge on corporate governance.
That's really very interesting and really great to know, and a great thought indeed, I must say. So as a corporate governance expert, what values do you bring to the table?
Okay. The corporate governance and the value that I bring in, the marriage that I bring in is that I always understand growth and profitable growth. How do you make a business successful? Along with that, if you look at all my businesses and all the organizations, they are perhaps the epitomes of corporate governance, epitomes of how to do business, whether you take the name of Sony, Philips, Diageo, Mahindra, within the digital world, Rediff.com, everyone, they are almost speckless organizations. So I value both the systemic way of corporate governance and the cultural way of being on the right side of the law and right side of the future movements. Doing things right is perhaps a culture that is very important. I bring that into the table along with the profitable growth. I think that's the marriage that I hold very strongly. And that is perhaps what will be the huge advice for me to anyone who is creating an organization now, or anyone who is into the phase of the operational growth of the organization. I bring in that growth without the conscience or without the systems does not go too far. You do these two things together, you are in for the long run.
Yes, true indeed, I must say. So when we talk about technology, what are some of the most remarkable changes you have seen in your field with changes in technology, and what changes you expect to see with the advent of IoT, AI, ML, blockchain, big data, and Web 3.0?
Okay. The biggest thing, all these things, if you see, and I go back a few more years, the names that you would have heard is metaverse, you would have heard about VR, AR. I have been dabbling with all of them, coming from a technology world and all. These are things that interest me.
Right.
One common thing that I see is a technology remains a hype so long as it's just a technology. If you see, the excitement comes in when the technology finds application or technology finds a solution for the consumers. We had been discussing AI for quite some time, but till the time the chat GPT came in, till the time the different AI applications came in and made it accessible to the common creators, they were not going anywhere. But if you see the excitement in the creator community that I see with application of AI, that's huge. I think that's a huge change that is coming in. The real meaning of Web 3.0 will perhaps come along with all these technology innovations and new ways of satisfying consumer need. The other part that is the basics of the technology doesn't change. It is all about trying to understand the consumer better, interacting with him at the right point of time with the right set of messages. This is all that technology is allowing us to do. But how deep you can go in the most economic way is what is making the technology so valuable. The initial technology was, perhaps when I started off in Rediff, most of our email campaign would have been spray and pray. You send it to 5 million people, some will definitely come in and buy.
Right.
Then slowly we moved into CRM and data analytics, the basic levels of it. Yes. Now, if you see where we have gone with AI, big data, IoT, everything. First is trying to capture consumer information, creating the consumer data platform or the consumer data profiling. The depth of data is enormous, but at the same time, every organization has to balance between what is the amount of investment they will do in consumer understanding so that they can still remain a profitable growth. Not everyone can go into a server bank of Google. So everyone. But if you see the other interesting thing that is happening in AI, it's all about understanding the consumer, creating a feedback loop so that you get the right set of information or triggers, when to and how to interact with the consumers. And then there is a interaction platform which needs to be automated, which has happened with many of the marketing automation, how you communicate to the consumer and still remain within a feedback loop. The most important part that has happened, all these things require huge technology investment, and the world is becoming collaborative. The economy is coming in. The fact that no one is creating this proprietary technology on their own. The consumer companies who are trying to move forward, they are not creating the technology platforms. They are outsourcing it in the form of a software as a service, solution as a service, marketing platforms. So there is a huge world of happening with huge data lakes and analytic tools, but no one is building it bottom up and trying to own it. All the organizations are getting into a rental mode of operation in accessing these capabilities. And I think this is where the collaborative way of reaching the consumer will drive everyone into a higher level of excellence and premiumizing.
Yes, We hope so. Like, as you know, we are building a community of industry magnets. The move is meant for cross-pollination of knowledge and building a knowledge-sharing community of corporate giants and industry experts. So what are your thoughts about this initiative taken about by Mr. Zishan Pathan, Mr. Heval Mehta, and the whole World Development Corporation team?
I think this is a very important, and I think this is a step in the right direction. I won't call it a right direction. This is almost a step that needed to be taken. First thing is that the world, as I said, like I may be using the word too many times, the world is about collaboration. It's about collaborative intelligence. There are two things that will bring excellence in a country like India. I think there is a collaborative intelligence that needs to be created. Different industry, different functional area, people exchanging their thought processes so that we actually be able to document or record all the best practices. And everyone can draw from that. And the second thing that I have a feeling like very few countries are doing it in India, if it can be done. India, if you see, is a hotbed of talents across the world. And given the type of complexity in which businesses are run here, I think there's a huge space for experience aggregation. What they have done is perhaps a tremendous platform for experience aggregation. If done properly with fireside chat, everything put together, making it into a program, this can actually be a guiding light for all industries in India. And if in the way India is shining, is trying to grow, this can be a very good effort, which will help many of the startup guys, many of the entrepreneurial guys, as well as the bigger organizations to draw from these experiences.
That's really kind and really wonderful words by you. It was fantastic conversing with you, and I'm confident that your insights will inspire future leaders. Thank you, Mr. Atindriya Bose, for joining us today. We wish you the best for your future endeavors. Moreover, trust that this initiative by Directors Institute unquestionably expanded the participants' understanding and enriched their minds. Thank you so much for joining us today, sharing your wonderful principles, the values that you live by, and your career journey with us so far. I'm sure, everyone watching this, it is going to help them grow in their careers too.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.